Let me show you some verses. If you have your Bibles, turn to Acts chapter 2. We like to look at Acts because that's kind of the beginning of the church. And we got to understand that Acts is very different than now. We're talking about a church that existed 2,000 years ago, and the world has changed drastically in 2,000 years. And we're talking about a church that was in the Middle East, and we're talking about a church that was just starting. And where we find ourselves today is a church that's 2,000 years old, so a lot's happened. A church that's in the Western, very Eurocentric part of the world, radically different than the Middle East. And we know that the church has been going on for so long that many things have happened. And sadly, but realistically, the church is far more institutionalized than it was then. It's far more commercialized than it was then. But that is the reality. And so we need to be careful that when we come to Acts and we say, oh, this is how they did it, we should try to do it exactly like them. We can't, because we're 2,000 years later and we're in a different part of the world. But we can say, what can we learn from their example? What is it that they did that we can say, boy, that is something that we can learn from? And in Acts 2, starting in verse 42, is a place that we love to go to look and say, here's how they did it. There's a lot that we can learn from this. Let me read this to you. And they devoted themselves. That devoted is a strong word, by the way. It's not just they decided to or they thought about. They gave their lives to these things. And they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers, and awe came upon every soul. And many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles, and all who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. That is powerful. What's going on in this church is that everybody's participating in this. It's not just a few. It's not just the shepherds. It's not just the apostles. It's everybody. And they're looking around, and whenever they see a need, everybody pitches in and uses what they have to meet the need. So if there's a great need and somebody has something they can sell to meet that need, then they sell it and meet the need. It's kind of like caring for each other via eBay. I see a need, I find something in my house, I put it on eBay, I meet the need. But what's going on is that in the church, whenever somebody sees a need, they use what they have to meet the need. Jump back in your Bibles to Matthew 25. Matthew 25. Here's a parable that Jesus told. And this is a parable that, I don't know, for most of my life it kind of seems strange to me. But let me read it to you. For it will be like a man, it being the kingdom, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents. Now a talent is approximately, in our day, a talent would be about $400,000. So we're talking about a big sum here. 5 talents would be $2 million. So to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. He had received the 5 talents, went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So he doubled his money. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went out and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now after a long time, the master of the servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing the 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here I have made 5 talents more. And his master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little, I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. Hey, let's celebrate together. Well done. Come on into my party. And he also who had the 2 talents came forward, saying, Master, You delivered to me 2 talents. Here, I have made 2 talents more. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Come on in and join the party. He also, who had received the 1 talent, came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here, you have what is yours. But his master answered him, you wicked and slothful servant. You knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I scattered no seed? Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now I grew up. This parable made no sense at all to me. And I thought I was alone in that until I started talking to some people and they agreed with me. I grew up in a house that we had almost no money. When we got our lunches, when we get ready to go to school, my parents would say, okay, do you guys want peanut butter or jelly sandwich? Because we didn't get both. And we would bring home thin sliced bologna from the store and slice it again. And so we were savers. And so I grew up with this high value on saving. And you know what? You don't do risky things with money. You save it. You're conservative. You make sure that you hold on to it. And I looked at these 2 servants, and I said, well, these guys are going out. They're taking risks with it. What if they lose that money? I can't believe they're being so risky with money that's not even theirs. This guy over here, he's the smart one. He's going to make sure that what his master gave him, he gives back to the master. He seemed like the wise one. And Jesus says, no, he's the dumb one. The wise ones are the ones who use what the master gave them the same way the master would use it. You see, the key to unlocking this parable is in the description of the master. He reaps where he does not sow, and he gathers where he has not scattered seed. The master's the kind of guy who uses what he has to make more. And the first 2 servants understood that, and so they said, if this is the master's money, we should use it the way he would use it. And so they use it to do what? To double it. The same way that the master would. Now here's the thing. Jesus is the master. And he's gone away. And he will return. But while he's gone, he's given all of us different gifts. And here's what we often miss. Everything that we have has been given to us by God. Whether it be our money, or our possessions, or our families, or our time, our position in life, everything we have has been given to us by God on loan. It is not ours to keep. We are to use it and to invest it as the master would. And so when we look at that first church, and we see that they saw a need, what did they do? They used what they had to meet the need. Let me give you just a really simple and easy definition of caring to take with you. Caring for others is using what God has given me to meet their needs. This week